All right, let's just get into it. Let's do it. I'm hearing more of the fabric on the mic today. Just like the fabric of my shirt. Very loud today. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I shouldn't be listening to the audio here. Maybe I should make that a lot quieter. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing these long intros now because I'm worried what the monetization for these streams is like. YouTube just changed it. YouTube just changed that. I look like my old schoolboy haircut. Uh, YouTube just changed the way that monetization for streams works without notice, as far as I know. I don't even know why I turn monetization on for these things. I've never cashed out. I have never received any money, so I should probably just stop running ads. But then YouTube stopped showing it to people. I posted one video a while back that I was like, oh, I'm not going to run ads on it because it's not my stuff. It's using someone else's stuff. And it showed it to nobody. So it's a real catch-23 or maybe 4. But welcome to the stream. I hope you're not getting tons of ads here. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it, Christian. I see you there. Welcome back, Christian. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're just hanging out. No, yeah. Today's stream topic is not, don't worry, it's nothing big. It's not a big argument thing, but it's something I will, as usual, talk about it at some point, just for the sake of accuracy. And if people want to weigh in on which of my subscriptions I should actually keep, go for it. But the reasoning behind that, just to get it out of the way, is that I've been getting progressively kicked off of the Netflix accounts that I was using, and I'm in the process of making a video about the whole thing. But my last 2 recording sessions for that video failed completely, and the footage was unusable. So that will happen. But anyway, that just got me thinking about the streaming service stuff, and obviously it's something we've talked about multiple times before. It's not a brand new topic. I even made like a longer video about just the progression of subscriptions in general, as opposed to just outright buying stuff, and especially for media. But it's just a thing. And when I was putting this list together, I was like, I really don't have that many anymore. There are probably a whole bunch that I've forgotten about completely and that I've continued to pay for over time. That's just how it goes. But I've cut it down a decent amount, and I do have other people's logins for certain, services and that kind of stuff. But it's not that many. Even so, I feel the urge to get rid of them. I just don't feel like I need all this stuff anymore, or like I'm using. I don't know. It almost reminds me of the very old days of the internet, when it was better to just try to pirate stuff. I'm not saying that that's what I'm doing or that's what I would do. That would be crazy. But that was just the norm in the olden days. And then later on, if it was no, of course I want everything streaming. The streaming services are the best. Look at all the stuff you get. And now, years later, as a too much of an adult at this point, in my opinion, I don't want it. I don't want to keep paying for all of these. I really don't. So it feels like a regression a little bit. I want to get away from them. I still want to watch stuff, sort of. I don't know. I also get very tired of watching stuff. I burn out on it every once in a while, just because there's always something on. If I'm awake, there's always something playing in the background. Very bad news for my OLED TV, by the way. That thing's not gonna last. That thing's gonna, it just won't be able to cope after a certain point. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Whatever. It's not a big deal. It's just something to have a chat about. But as always, we can chat about whatever you want. Whoever shows up in the chat, whoever says things, you'll get a certain amount of attention. And we can talk about things. Ugo's back. Welcome back, Ugo. Thank you for sharing some more lyrics, I'm assuming, that I won't read, because I feel like they should be sung. You know, lyrics should really be sung, and I can't do that justice. That reminds me of a thing. I remember telling a relative, I was probably in middle school or high school, and I remember telling a relative, like, oh, we're reading X play in class, because that's the thing, that's how we used to study, you know, Shakespeare stuff. We would read some classical Greek plays in class and that sort of thing. And this relative just said, why are you reading a play? Like, that's something you go see performed. Why would they do that in a school? What is the point of that? Which I understand. I think that's a valid comment. But yeah, either way. Lyrics are meant to be sung, not read out loud in a monotone voice. Christian says, is Spotify Premium different from YouTube Music? Yeah, you mean like, well, in terms of the company, obviously, but do you mean in terms of what you actually get for it? I mean, off the top of my head, I don't have all the different features memorized or anything like that. I was never completely sure if YouTube Music, which I have, I'm pretty sure, through YouTube Premium, and maybe that's the question we were getting to. There you go. Christian says you get YouTube Music, comes with no ads when you get YouTube Premium. Okay, so they are bundled. I was always confused about that, but as far as I know, YouTube Music doesn't have a separate app, does it, for your phone? I don't think so. And that's what I would want, because I'll use the background play for the YouTube app sometimes if I don't want the screen on the whole time. I'm walking around maybe, but it uses so much data because it's still streaming the video to your phone. So anyway, that just means I never really got to, I never really dug into YouTube Music. I use regular YouTube for music for stuff that isn't on Spotify, but that's pretty rare. Anyway, but yeah, I've been on Spotify Premium for, oh my gosh. It's probably been close to 10 years at this point, which is a very scary prospect. But either way, I do still like it, and they haven't raised the price by that much since I started. I don't think so, anyway. Ugo says you should have them on a rotation and cancel the one that you don't use or just watch reviews on YouTube. Ugo says just use YouTube with an ad blocker. Yes. In general, well, I'll talk about that second bit first. Using YouTube with an ad blocker. That's 100% what I do on all of my computers. I do. However, most of the time I'm using the YouTube app on my television. And first of all, you shouldn't be using an OLED television to watch YouTube in the first place. It's just a waste of like energy and pixels as far as I'm concerned. It's just not good, but that's just what I'm used to doing. That's what I've done for years, is while I'm working during the day, I just have YouTube stuff playing in the background, or maybe a TV show. And I'm so used to just having the images and the noise in my room that it's my standard, and I have to stop that. I have to stop it. Like I said, it's bad for the TV. I'm not even looking at it most of the time because I'm focused on my work stuff. So if you're using an app on a smart TV or other device, or even on the phones, I don't think you can use an ad blocker unless there's a really sneaky workaround that I don't know about yet and probably don't have the energy to do. That would be great. And I hate, like, you know, then I wouldn't even care about YouTube Premium because the ads would be no issue. But yeah, between that and as someone who posts stuff to YouTube, I just felt like, yeah, I should probably just go through with it. I should probably go through it. Anyway, getting back to the first part of what you were saying, Ugo, about like rotating streaming services, that's genuinely a great idea. And like it would probably make you appreciate some of them more just because you don't always have access. However, it definitely takes more effort. You know, you kind of have to plan that out and like make sure that you're not signing up for multiple months at a time. Some of them can be sneaky that way, especially with free trials. Anyway, so yeah, no, that's not a bad idea at all. I would be interested to see whether I would stick to a plan like that or just get lazy and be like, yeah, whatever, that one will stay there. I'll just let that one sit, because that's what they're counting on, of course. They're just counting on people going like, I'm tired. I don't want to check it all the time. Yeah, okay, you raise the price, whatever. I'm moving on with my life. So we'll see. We'll see. I think if there's a plan to be made here for me, it would be like just having 1 to 2 really solid streaming services for movies and shows. You know, just 1 or 2 that are really good, that have a ton of stuff that I really like and that I would use all the time, and then cut it off there. You know, if there's a 3rd or 4th service that's like, oh, I would use that sometimes. No. So I think Crunchyroll is a good example where, like, now they absorbed Funimation. So Funimation isn't even really a competitor for them anymore, as far as I know. And Crunchyroll does, and that's what they do. They do anime. That's the one to get if you want to watch a bunch of new, especially new anime stuff. So I think I can justify Crunchyroll a bunch, regardless of the fact that, yeah, I'm not using it every day. It's just when I'm in the mood to watch something that happens to be on there or to find something new. But yeah, that's, you know, I think it still makes the cut, basically. But yeah, so we'll see. And Christian says that there is a YouTube music app. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I haven't even looked at it. I could try that out, but yeah, no, with the I mean, I guess that would reduce if I was going to keep YouTube Premium forever, then I wouldn't have to worry about Spotify. But that's the other thing, is I've put so much time into, you know, the playlist stuff, my saved library of music and all that thing. I just think I would be losing quite a bit of metadata in the transition. But anyway, yeah, that's what we got. So we'll see. I don't know. I can do a deeper dive maybe later on. But before any of that, like, what have you guys been watching? Anything good recently? Is there anything you would like to bring up that you've been checking out lately that's worth recommending? Just something in general you wanted to chat about? Let me know what it is. Some of this, no. Way too much Final Fantasy, by the way, in this studying and stress relief playlist. Like, it just, Final Fantasy music is great. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in a playlist of any kind. Unless you're doing fancy fantasy music all the way through. It just doesn't quite line up. It always feels like an interruption to me. But yeah, have you guys been watching stuff? By the way, a quick update on last week's stream is that we did end up getting, I think, multiple copyright claims because we were watching those One Piece live action trailers. So pretty much what I expected. I'm sure it was specifically from the audio. I just wasn't talking over it enough. Whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's not like I was going to earn a bunch of money from the stream anyway, but it was fun. It was fun watching those trailers. I like getting to, I mean, I'm not really a reactor. I'm not a big reactor kind of person, but I enjoyed just having the opportunity to actually watch those trailers and get a sense, because I had never seen any imagery for that show. And now I'm intrigued, maybe not in the best way, maybe not in the most positive way, but I am at least aware of it now, and I have my expectations set. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let's see what else. So I promise. So I am working on this video. I'll probably split it up at this point because the production has been so bad. But I watched 4 or 5 different animated Netflix shows and movies total, not 4 or 5 of each. And I wanted to talk about them. I thought I could throw them all into one big video, but it was getting very long, and the video footage was just not working out at all. So I'll probably split that up. But that was the gimmick, was like, oh, okay, before I get kicked off of this Netflix account in a month, let's try to catch up. And there has been plenty of new-ish stuff on Netflix that I did watch recently. So that was a lot of fun. I will get it done. I will finish that. But in the meantime, if you just want like light impressions stuff, I finally watched Nimona. Ugo, you might have mentioned that one at some point, where it just kind of seems your style to me. I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate. But I finally watched Nimona. I watched Oni, the Thunder God's Tale, or whatever the bad subtitle is for that show, or limited series, I guess. I watched Agretzko, or part of it anyway, and other things that I'm forgetting about now, or that I don't want to mention right now. But yeah, it felt good to kind of catch up on the Netflix watching and just be like, okay, I'm not completely caught up. I haven't watched all the hip things that the kids are talking about, but I've seen enough and I saw enough good stuff that it felt really satisfying to anything new that's actually good, that fits your fancy. What a great feeling that is. And that's yet another reason why I'm always hesitant to drop streaming services, because that happens often enough with most of them that I'm like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose another avenue to something great that I hadn't seen before. So anyway, so it was fun. It was fun. It was just over a couple of days, and I really just watched a ton of things, and really enjoyed it for the most part. So we'll see. Christian says, "Man, do you think there's a set of streaming services that have all of your entertainment needs and you don't need to get anything else?" That's a really interesting idea, Christian. I like the idea of coming up with pairings. You know what I mean? Like, if this is you, if this is your personality and what you like to watch, these 3 streaming services have you covered. You know? And then if you have this other personality or this like routine or viewing habit, these other ones will be good for you, or you only need 1 or 2 of them. That's actually a really neat idea. And the problem is, what's getting in the way here is that they're definitely, or a lot of these streaming services try to be that. They try to, in their marketing, they try to be like, oh, we're your one-stop shop. We've got such a huge library. That's kind of the joke of the thumbnail for the stream, by the way, is like, I think it's funny when people try to make those decisions just based on sheer quantity. Oh, like this streaming service has several thousand and this one only has 400 or 500 movies. Like, that's not really how it works unless you just watch every terrible thing on every streaming service. It doesn't make sense to focus on that so much. But anyway, yeah, I really like the idea that there is a specific combination of streaming services that would just have you completely covered. That would be great. Although the other tricky part too is that it changes so often, what they offer, what new stuff they have slated, how the new stuff performs, and also just the rates, the amount of money you got to pay for each one every month. This music, no. we need something else. Do you think all of these music compilations would get me claims? I never know if it's all like royalty free stuff or not. You want to try Endless Sunday 2 Die Lo-Fi Jazz Instrumental Hip Hop Beats? It says chill hop nowhere in the title, just in the thumbnail and channel name. Oh, we get ads too, by the way. This is not my browser, so now we also get to watch this, what I assume is a mobile game ad. It looks great though, doesn't it? Well, let's see. Thank you, Chill Hop Music, unless you claim my stream upload, in which case, get out of town. What are you doing? Just needed some slightly forgettable Chill Hop music. No disrespect to the artist. I've made plenty of forgettable stuff. Okay, let me get caught up here. What do we got? Ugo says, what did Jake say about his cup? See this cup? Yeah, it's literally my favorite cup. Throws out the window. And yeah, now it's not real and I don't care about it anymore. Yes, yeah, I referenced that in whatever video that was. Was I talking about that up? Yeah, I guess I was talking about Puhoy in that video. This is way too loud on my headphones, by the way. Anyway, yeah, no, I think that can be cathartic too, is when you have those moments of uh, basically self improvement, you know, where you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna go without this one thing, and see how it changes my life." And when that works successfully, when you realize, "Oh, I actually didn't need that thing, I can move on as I normally would, or I'm even more productive, or something like that." Those are really great moments. I hate this too. I'm gonna explore in a different tab some background music for us that's not terrible, but you guys don't have to worry about that. Um, yeah, definitely, it is a thing, and I have had that with certain streaming services, kind of. I used to. I don't really have HBO Max or Max anymore, although I put it on the list because I'm seriously considering getting it back. It's just so darn expensive. However, I definitely had my stints of like a month or two where I did have the subscription. Sorry, cat. Uh, and I enjoyed it a lot, but then would fall off and just not use it anymore. So yeah, there were some cup throwing moments in that case. There were some moments of just like, I don't need this and I'm fine without it. Those are possible. It would be great to do that with absolutely everything and just like, oh, I'm just not going to watch YouTube stuff right now. I'm not going to watch any movies or shows throughout the day. That would be great. I don't know how practical it would be for me, but it's worth bringing up. It's I get that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Ugo says, I did not like Nimona the movie. There are lots of things of the movie I disliked, but the person Nimona was the best thing about the movie. I see. Well, it's an important distinction, yes. So one of the characters in the movie has the same name as the title. So there you go. Whether we would consider that character the lead, probably not. Probably not, unless we really wanted to get technical about POV characters versus protagonists and all that business. Yeah, well, I'll make a thing about Nimona, so I won't say too much, but I will say that my impressions were kind of mixed. I was a little bit surprised. It wasn't one of those things where I started watching, I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever, and I love it to death, and there you go, which is a little bit what I was expecting, just based on the positive response to the movie since release. And also, I wanted to like it. I was really rooting for the movie, and I continue to support the movie and the response and everything. But yeah, I cannot say that it was like love at first sight, and I was just enthralled with it the whole time. So more detail, more detail when I get to it and publish a thing. But yeah, for now, that's how it went, and it was whatever. So Christian says, "Hey, just had an argument with my brother whether or not YouTube streamers automatically get archived other page, or do you have to press the little button that says that you want to archive it or no?" Well, I mean, I don't. Sometimes bigger channels and stuff have different features that the little guys don't have, so it's totally possible it's different for other channels. But I can tell you for a fact that the way it is for me, yeah, no, it's an automatic archive. So, and I don't think it's even a setting. Maybe it is. Maybe there's a setting buried somewhere where you can say like, oh, I don't want this not uploaded, but you know what I mean, displayed publicly as soon as the stream is wrapped. Maybe there's a setting like that, but for as long as I've been doing it, it's just like, oh, we just assume you want to make this available to your audience now, so it's just there. So as soon as you hit end stream, it comes up with a page that's like, okay, here it is. Here's how long it was. Here are your stats, which I hate looking at, of course. And then it's like you can edit it in the studio if you want, or you could decide to like private it or unlist it, things like that. But the default is definitely just automatically archived. There's the VOD for anybody else to watch, which makes sense, right? Because YouTube doesn't want to deprive itself of content, even if it's not high performing content. They just like stuff. And in particular, they really like long form content. They really like longer videos, long streams. So I get it. It makes sense. And also just for like Of course, unless a stream is really bad or something goes horribly wrong on the technical side, in that case, I would like private it right away and just be like, "Sorry, yeah, no, it's gone, guys." That's just the situation. But it's pretty rare at this point that I'll do that. I feel fine about where the streams are, I think. And I also know that there's at least, a literal handful of people who do like to watch at least part of the streams after the fact because they can't make it live. We have people in different time zones, things like that, or people who are kind of antisocial and they don't want to have the interaction part of it. They don't want to be in the chat and all that. So I'm happy to just have those up. Also, it's good for the channel, I guess, if people are watching it for any amount of time, because the watch time is what YouTube really cares about more so than clicks. So again, long form content, if people are sticking around, it's really good news for your channel in general. And yeah, also just as a viewer, as someone who just watches a lot of YouTube stuff, I go through a ton of VODs from like actual real streamers who have like audiences and and numbers and sponsorships and all that stuff. So I appreciate it. I appreciate having access to that kind of thing. So I always want to make that available as well, just in case there's someone out there who likes having my stuff on for a long period of time. I don't know if those people exist, but either way, leaving it open for the possibility. So yeah, that's where it is. But yeah, and yeah, so I'm gonna start doing with these. I'm gonna start moving them around fittingly. Crunchyroll is probably the safest, I think, at this point, at least based on my current thinking. Hugo says Summer Camp Island Season 6 is now on CN with 20 episodes. Why? I don't mean why in a negative way. I just mean like that was such a seemingly definitive event where they were like, we're done with this show, we're not going to even leave it up for streaming. We knew it was going to be revived at some point, but what the heck? Because that would, if it's out now, that means it's been in production for a very long time. Maybe they never stopped production on it. I don't know. Very strange. Very strange. And makes me a little bit more upset that they were that Warner Media or whatever was so aggressive with pulling it from Max. I don't get that. I don't get that. It's, yeah. Oh, Basic Nerd, welcome back. How's it going? Nerd says update on Scott Pilgrim anime. We have a trailer. We do? Oh no. I only say oh no because we got copyright claims for watching the other trailers. I don't know if how about this? I could watch it during the stream, but you won't see it or hear it. How's that? I'll go into my viewing booth over here and it'll just be quiet and I can watch the trailer. But I just want to. Stream aside, I just want to see the trailer because I've been wondering about that for a long time. Christian mentions Kyoto Video again. Yeah, I had that channel in I put it on the recommendation list for one of the previous streams. Haven't checked them out yet, of course, but yeah, I would like to. Christian says Crunchyroll is a good choice. Is Max a good one or what? Yeah, I unfortunately like Max a lot, and part of that might stem from the fact that we never had like premium cable when I was growing up, and that's not some major complaint. It just means that like HBO in particular was one of those forbidden fruit kind of channels, especially because they had such adult content in that sense, like the wink wink kind of sense, that I just, as an adult, having access to that stuff is exciting. Even through college, like, well, let's put it fence-wise here. Even through college, like, that's when HBO Go sort of started to come up, right? And everyone was like, "Oh, I need to watch Game of Thrones. We don't have cable. How do we do that?" So part of me really enjoys it just for that. Also, they do have a decent amount of stuff. I mean, they have the Harry Potter movies. I'm a sucker for those movies. They used to have Reno 911, that dropped. Obviously, White Lotus is fantastic, and a number of other original shows um, that they've done have just been absolutely great. So, yeah. So I do like it a lot, but it is unfortunate because it's so expensive. And they've kind of earned that status as like a premium option with really high quality stuff. Not everything they do is great, obviously, but yeah. Also, they have some kind of deal with the Criterion Channel, so you can get some killer like art house movies and weird stuff through Max instead of going to Criterion Channel. I have Criterion Channel, by the way. Wow, worried about the spelling on that. I have that, and that's one I forget about all the time because I really love it when I'm watching stuff on there and I'm in the mood for something fancy and high quality. But it's pretty expensive, and I'm not on it most of the time. So we're gonna have to decide where that one goes. Yes. Anyway, Ugo says, remember they took it off Max, but they had the episodes ready. That's what it was. Thank you for reminding me, because I legitimately forgot about that. I did not know that there were episodes finished. But yeah. Nerd says, I love the art style. It's so close to Brian's original art, but its own twist, or has its own twist. Okay, yeah, I might just watch it in my video booth over here. We'll see. I'm glad something surfaced, though. It really seemed like it was about time. That's a teaser. Okay, all right. So it won't be too substantial, but I will probably pull that up. Okay. All right. Christian says it's a channel. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah, well, I think through you. It might have been last week. I forget. But we were talking about one of the anime shows, and I think you mentioned the Kyoto video had a pretty good like rundown of it, or a longer video about that show. So I have it on my very large running list of like recommendations of stuff to watch. But yeah, YouTube, it's easier to pull something up on YouTube than to, pop in for a whole movie. So I'll probably do that soon. But yeah, I'm happy to hear that it's good work. If you have other things to share about the kind of videos they do, let me know. I'd be interested to hear some more. But yeah, very cool. It sounds like it's good stuff. Where am I now in the chat? Okay, we're over here. Ugo says, I guess because they put it on the Cartoon Network app, due to because they have commercials on the app, but now they have commercials on Max too, so I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there is that ad tier of Max, which is terrible because it'll always be tempting because it's less money. And yeah, but I'm not ad tolerant, as they say. I cannot stand video. I just can't stand video ads. I really can't. I'm incapable of signing up for one of those, options instead of the full thing. But yeah, anyway, yeah, but yeah, weird that whole situation with Summer Camp Island. I'm glad the episodes exist and that they can be accessed by people now. I was kind of thinking we would have to do some kind of heist situation. We can all gather together outside of the Cartoon Network offices, which are just up there. They're just up the road a ways, and grab them, grab the film reels. I'm sure they're on film reels or VHS tapes, of course. That just makes sense. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. You just heard it. Sorry for the volume, by the way. That was probably loud. I am gonna watch the trailer without sound, off camera. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have the trailer on the screen where you can see it, but I'm gonna watch this just because I need to get a sense for it. But first I'll catch up here. Nerd says the only reason for Max for me is Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which I have the Blu-rays for. Oh, well. Yeah, then you're all set. And yeah, that's something I've talked about before with subscriptions. Is like, if there's stuff you want to rewatch it all the time, just buy it. Just buy it. Fashion yourself a copy of it out of twine and chewed gum Just any way that you can have it ready to go and not have to, be strung along with that subscription service is great. And I've done that with plenty of mostly shows that I like more so than big movies that I like. So yes, but then you're all set. Yeah, if there's nothing else on there that you're really into or want to check out, then yeah, it's not worth it. That just makes sense. Nerd also says, I also have VHS for Fellowship and Two Towers. Don't have a player before my collection. No, I get that. That's neat. Are any of those double VHS tapes? Because they're so long. Well, if it was the extended editions, it would have to be at least a double tape, right? Those are so long. But no, same thing. I mean, I do have a VHS player. I got into that stuff briefly. Let's not talk about that. But I used to go to a video store here in LA not that long ago. I'm sure I've talked about it before. And one of the guys I knew there and talked to, we were not friends, but friendly with each other and stuff, and knew each other and chatted all the time. And he knew that I was into VHSs and like to collect some stuff. And yeah, like you, nerd, there are certain like really cool, famous movies that I just love to have in VHS. I think the art is cool and it's neat to have them around. But beyond that, yeah, they would get VHS tapes from random people all the time. And they also got VHS tapes from, I think it was one of Tarantino's art directors or something, used to come into the shop. A fair number of people in film would kind of like go and hang out there or just stop in. And so every once in a while, you would see some crazy stuff. Some really weird tapes would come in. It was fun to grab those too. In fact, knock some stuff over, but I always have this one ready to go. I have this on the camera. I've got a taped copy. This is not official. So we have a bootleg of Meet the Feebles, the Peter Jackson movie. Uncut, and as far as I can tell, it was taped off of like Japanese television. Maybe. Definitely not US television, so I don't know who did this. But either way, I'm glad they did. This is great. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen early Peter Jackson stuff. He was getting up to some nonsense in the old days. Was that all I had for that point? I think so. I think that's everything I had. Christian also asks, which version of Nintendo Switch Online? Great question. I forgot that there are tiers now, because when I first got the Switch, I don't think they even had NSO at the time. That was 2018. Took them a long time to roll it out. Internet or online play was just free. Also, I have another video game story to tell you guys briefly that will make me look stupid, but I'm not too concerned about that on this channel. This is the tier that's like extra goodies, but not all of them, right? So I forget if they even have a name for it. So I didn't do the giant expansion pass, right? So I guess it's still the basic tier, right? It's just that they added Game Boy stuff. NES and SNES are in the basic now. It's just they added them so they feel like extras. But no, I didn't do the $50 a month thing, $50, $60 thing, where you get the N64 stuff. Maybe I just should. I don't know. I don't want to. I have other ways of playing N64 games. And I don't care about playing them online. So that's not a very expensive. This is really not a very expensive. This is what, $20 a year? I feel like that's an automatic keep, right? It's got to be. Like it's fine. I can legitimately afford that. Not a big deal. Nerd says Fellowship and Tower, they're just one tape each, I guess. But Return of the King is a double VHS, and for that reason, I can't find a good price for it. Gotcha. Yeah, that's automatically like more of a collector's item. Or if you had like a box set of VHS tapes, like we had one of the old box sets of Star Wars, probably the special editions, come to think of it. But I also have a box set of Krzysztof Kieslowski's blue, white, red trilogy, his Colors trilogy. which are all, I mean, they're all fantastic, obviously. But that's a nice box set that's really pretty, looks great. Yeah, so I like having special things like that. Even Titanic. I remember my grandma had a VHS copy of Titanic a year or two after that released, you know. And that was definitely a double because it was just too long. That's just too long. And I'm sure they also did this special features thing where they're like, "What? Stay till the end. Stay after the credits, and you'll get to see how the movie was made." Uh, I can guarantee they had that kind of thing at the end. So yeah, yeah. Well, let's see. Christian says keep Game Pass. Video game prices are crazy. Yes, yes, yes. In general, yes. I totally agree. And it's kind of funny too. I realized recently I just about never buy video games at full price, which is a bad thing in terms of supporting developers, especially indie developers. But I just don't. It's just, yeah, it's too much money. It's very rare that I'll buy a full priced game at like $60 or $70. That's almost never. Maybe a couple times a year. But yeah, even indies, I'll wait for a sale just about every time and kind of feel bad about it, but kind of not. Because yeah, I just don't. I already probably spend too much money on video games, and build up the backlogs on the different platforms. So there's that. And yeah, I mean, Game Pass remains very good. I also just have a couple of games on there, like we're talking about with the movie and TV services. There are a couple things that I just always want to have access to, and that's enough to keep me around, you know? And also saves, like, oh my gosh, I have so many hours in a couple of those games, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to back away from the platform. I might reduce to just Xbox game, sorry, PC Game Pass. And so I have a Series S, but I'm thinking of getting rid of it. I don't know. I just don't use it too much. But yeah, I'll have to tell my story as well because yeah, there were a lot more video game shenanigans in the last couple of days here. Yeah. Anyway, Christian S Criterion channel. You can look it up. So it's for the that's the streaming service for the Criterion Collection. So if you don't know them, they're really big with like movie nerds and stuff because they're basically just a distribution company, but they do a really nice job of packaging up older movies and even new movies too that are just of really high quality. So art house stuff from all around the world that could be hard to get otherwise. They did Wall-E. That's the only Pixar movie that's become a Criterion Collection movie. They also do a series of videos called Criterion Closet, where they have famous actors and filmmakers, you know, be like, "Hey, these are like fundamental movies to my understanding of cinema," and that kind of thing. So a big deal for movie geeks, and I don't know if I can still say that I am one, but I used to be crazy movie geek and watching stuff constantly and really looking for international movies and stuff like that. So yeah, so they have a streaming service. It's not everything they have. They rotate the content as well. But it's really good if you're into that kind of thing because there are plenty of international movies that are very hard to get in the US. Like they just don't get distribution a lot of the time. Either way, like I said earlier, it's pretty expensive and I just don't use it that often. So it's tricky. It's tricky to hang on to that one forever. I might have to, at the very least, I'll probably put it on the fence. Let's do that. I wish I had fun visuals. I was thinking of hooking up the iPad and doing it that way, but there's too many wires right now. Yes. Basic Nerd says Reddit premium question mark. Not for me. I don't. I definitely don't use Reddit enough. I'm not. And also, didn't they just scrap like all their awards system and Reddit Gold and all that stuff? They just decided like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. But yeah, no, I used to use Reddit all the time in college. It was a hub for me. And if I was online, I would just open up Reddit, you know, as a matter of course. But I don't do that anymore. So yeah, so probably not. But yeah, if I included all subscriptions in my life ever, yeah, it would probably be a larger list. So I was mostly trying to focus on just media stuff, um, not so much just recurring bills, and there are a handful of websites that I probably do have something like that for. But yeah, anyway, Nerd also says opinion on the Red Dead PS4, 5, and Switch ports. Yeah, so I thought it wasn't. I thought part of the controversy is it wasn't getting a PS5 version. Like it's just the same version for PS4 and 5. So I think that was part of the issue. And if anything's going to Switch, that means it has to be of relatively lower quality, just because it has to be able to run on the Switch. So that's just the nature of the situation. I mean, I guess my general opinion is just they probably could have done better, and they certainly have the money and the resources to do a better job, and paying someone else to port it really well. They definitely still have time. Like they could come around a month or two later and just say, "Oh, by the way, we have this really killer version that'll run on PS5 and Series X and all that." They could do that. They could do that at any time. In general, I'm very glad when more people have the opportunity to play something, especially on Switch. Like it's famous for that. And it's done that for me too. Like it gives you so many chances to try stuff out that you just missed for whatever reason. And aside from people just missing certain games, there's a lot of stuff. There are younger people coming in, like they weren't even around when the game originally launched. They don't want to do all the old retro hardware stuff. So I'm glad when more people get to play a game that is good and important. But yes, I understand why so many people are disappointed that it wasn't like a big fancy port that really made it look incredible and gave it a ton of modern features. So both sides of the coin there. I probably won't be playing it. It's not my favorite thing. But yeah, I'm glad that other people will have the chance to check it out probably for the first time. Nerd also says, I want to start Ultraman, but damn, 55 years of content, don't know where to start. Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, not with, I haven't looked into Ultraman specifically myself too much. However, I feel that way about like Gundam, where it's literally what? Yeah, around 50 years. I think they started around 72, or at least in the 70s. It's just math, like it's so much. It just automatically feels intimidating. Although that said, I felt similarly about One Piece, and I did, I have managed to watch 300 episodes or around there, and I'm moving along okay. So it can sometimes just be a matter of starting, but I also think it's really helpful when there are resources online, especially, or like videos saying, here's what you really need to watch. Like, here's the really good ones or the important ones, and you can kind of ignore the rest. I think that stuff is helpful rather than just starting at the beginning, going clean through, and moving on. Christian says, the last three. I don't know what you're referring to, but sorry, that's probably just because of our lag here. But feel free to clarify. But yeah, in the meantime, I should maybe sort some of these out. Yeah, Game Pass is probably keep, at least for the time being. I'll put it there. But yeah, let me tell my dumb story, my dumb video game story about what was going on this week. So long story short, I probably mentioned this in a previous stream, but within the last couple of months, I played Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time, and it was also my first experience with any kind of Final Fantasy stuff. And basically, it blew me away. I was expecting it to be terrible in all aspects, and it was not terrible in all aspects. And more than anything, I just really appreciated that it was crazy, huge, big budget video game making. I don't play a lot of blockbusters, the crazy expensive games that have the top of the line technology for when they're released. I just don't engage with a lot of that. So it was a huge change. I immediately started getting interested in some other Final Fantasy games and felt like I needed to catch up. But this was also very near around the time that Final Fantasy 16 was releasing. And there was, there were very mixed feelings about that game, but there were things about it that were interesting to me. And I was like, well, I don't get that. It's an exclusive. It will come to to PC eventually in like 2 or 3 years. I don't think I want to wait that long. Usually I'm not swayed by that stuff. I'm happy to just wait. I waited to play God of War. I waited to play Ratchet and Clank on PC, and that was all fine. But for this stuff, with Final Fantasy 16 and then part 2 of the Final Fantasy 7 remake coming out, I was just like, oh no. I think I want to get a PS5 Also Astro's Playroom and some other PlayStation stuff. But I think I want to get a PS5 so I can play those games and other things also. Not great. I'm not endorsing that. Like I don't think it's a good thing when you feel that pressure to buy something that you don't need to buy. And that's a whole other, whole other topic. We could talk about that for a long time and I would like to, but for the moment, I wanted to get a PS5 and I was like, okay, well, I'm not destitute. I have a little bit of extra money. I could probably swing it if I got one used, or like I already have the PS5 controller for reasons we won't get into. So I was like, okay, I could probably find one relatively cheap, cheap, not really, uh, and just do that, and it'll be fine. And I'll get some cheap used games, throw them in there. Maybe I'll do that subscription. That's another story. Um, but no, I was putting it off, and I was like, no, I really don't need to do that right now. It's stupid. We don't care. We'll just forget about it. And it kept coming back, and those are the worst times when you don't need to buy something, but you just the urge is there for like weeks or months at a time. That's when it starts to be an issue. And so in this case, it was earlier this week, and I was looking around online, and I was like, okay, I could probably, maybe there's some kind of deal. In certain regions, the PS5 has been discounted, like the brand new ones you can get for much less money. I was like, okay, that's kind of good news. There's been rumors of a new version of the PS5 coming out. So I was like, oh, good. This will drive prices down. It'll be less difficult to get one. It'll be less expensive to get one. So we move forward to, I guess, yesterday. And I was on eBay because that's the only place I'm looking. Well, the main place I'm looking for used stuff. And I start seeing these listings. Well, most of it's like, $500, $550 for a bundle. You can get the digital version used for like 380 instead of 400. And I was like, no, 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 no good. And all the used ones look stupid or they're broken. But then I started seeing like 5 or 6 listings for brand new, complete inbox, sealed, factory sealed PS5s with a bundle, either Final Fantasy 16 or God of War Ragnarok or something, right? And they're like, okay, $350, $360 for a brand new PS5 with a game included. And all of these listings are from sellers with 0 transactions. They have no ratings. They have no established store whatsoever, but they have photos and they say free shipping, go for it. And just over the span of a few hours, I noticed people buying them. I had the tabs pulled up, refresh. Oh, it's gone. It's out of stock. People are buying these. And I was like, oh man, this is an unbelievably good deal, literally. And other people are snatching these up. I don't want to miss the opportunity. So I stared at the page for a while. I was like, well, if they don't give it to me, or if they give me something fake, I'll tell eBay and they'll, give me my money back. It's fine. That's not a big deal. Or I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's because it's from another country, so it has a different power cord or something like that, and it has a different region, and you have to do some stupid things to make it work. Maybe it's legitimate. So I ordered one and immediately got a fraud alert from my bank. They were like, hey, someone just tried to buy a PlayStation with your card. Is that right? And I was like, yes. Yes, it's fine. I get why you would say that, but it's fine. And then it took a while even to get the confirmation for the order, and I was just like, okay, seems sketchy. I don't know what's going on here. And after the fact, too, I was like, I really don't think this is real. I don't think this is real, but also why? Like, why would you do this? What is the benefit of doing a fake listing like this? And putting it up and accepting transactions. That doesn't make any sense. So maybe it is real. And I kept thinking about it. I got the confirmation. I was like, okay, wow, hey, maybe in a couple days we'll have a brand new PS5 for like almost half of its asking price, and we can just move on with our lives and be happy. You know, maybe it's full of spiders, maybe it's full of toxic fumes or something like that, but we'll work it out. We'll make sure that this is okay. Anyway, then this morning I hop onto my email. It's like, okay, did they ship it off? Is it ready to go? And I got an email from eBay saying the order's canceled. And the seller says that either they're out of stock or the item is defective. And I was like, okay, all of that was a lie. All of that was fake, exactly as I thought it was. And that's when I started the wheels turning on why would someone do this? And now have I put myself at risk of something? Because, okay, like, they don't have my payment info, right? Like, the money was approved, but it wouldn't be paid out to the seller until they actually shipped the thing. So it's like, okay, so they didn't steal my money. Obviously, I'm getting my money back. But beyond that, I was like, okay, but yeah, don't they also have my name and address? So it's very possible. I don't know. I don't know how the scammers work, but it's possible, I guess, that people do these kinds of listings just so they can scum personal information off of people. I don't know. I don't know what you could really realistically do with that. But either way, felt very stupid, and I felt very stupid for not just following my instincts. Like, obviously it was fake. Obviously it was fake. And by the way, yeah, they had photos of the thing. They could have just taken that from anybody. You could take that from another listing that already sold. You wouldn't know. And there were all these details underneath about like, oh, here's our return policy. Here's how we do shipping. And the shipping thing was like, oh, and we use Royal Mail to send all of our packages. And I was like, that is not a shipping provider in the United States. And it says the seller is in Louisiana. So there you go. That was my little experience with literally buying a fake PS5 that didn't exist for a price that was literally too good to believe. That was way too far below market value. So that's how that went. Don't worry, the refund's there. It's all fine. You know, I don't think it's going to be some kind of big issue. I was just very confused by the whole thing. Felt really dumb. And I have since found a really beat up used PS5 that I decided to order. So we're going to see if that one is real and shows up in one piece. But anyway, yeah, that's how my week's been going with that stuff. And it was just a very stupid thing, and something I've never encountered before on eBay. I've never seen that kind of thing happen before. So anyway, there you go. There's a story. Now I can get back to chat because I'm not caught up anymore. Basic Nerd says, I think I start with the 90s, 2000s era of Ultraman before watching the 60s to the 80s one. It's like Power Rangers, where each version is technically connected but can be viewed on their own. Gotcha. Yeah, the different seasons of Power Rangers are all their own little story, own little, not universe exactly, but vibe, subgenre, all that kind of thing. So yeah, totally makes sense. I think that's a good way to go about it. And to be honest, that's how I usually approach that kind of thing too, like really long running series. I don't always want to see the oldest stuff at all, really. I want to see when it started to get really good and when it started to feel more modern, which is not the most sophisticated way to approach it, but yeah, that's just how I tend to go with some of that stuff. And Christian says, I think to Nerd, that there's a series that would jive with you. Oh, Christian saying, I think you should watch a series that really jives with you, then go back to the past ones with Ultraman. Yeah, totally makes sense. And like I said, that's how I usually tackle that kind of stuff. The old stuff just feels old. You know, I don't think it's unfair to have that kind of reaction to it. I think it's totally valid to not be into a much older version of something. That's fine, you know, like that's how it can be with James Bond. That's definitely how it can be with like Doctor Who or even Star Trek. I'm sorry, I don't think I'll ever make it through the original series of Star Trek. It's just not great. And Christian clarifies the last three streaming services. Yeah, gotcha. Sorry. I understand. Yeah, but yeah, let's finish this up because who knows? Who knows how much longer I'll be streaming? But we need to decide. Honestly, I feel like right now, I feel like Netflix is a nah. I don't know. Maybe someone can talk me down from that. If you have strong feelings about, why I should keep Netflix specifically, speak now. This is the time to do it. I'm going to guess Spotify is like an automatic keep unless I completely convert to YouTube Music and I just start using that for the rest of time. But that would be a difficult transition. And it would also then like rope me into YouTube Premium or keeping YouTube Premium for the foreseeable future, right? Which is tricky because, to be honest, right now, YouTube Premium is over here on the fence. I don't know. It's really useful for my current specific situation. It's really useful for having it turned on the smart TV all day long and not having to worry about ads. Certain channels get like a percentage of the amount you're paying for YouTube Premium, so it feels good for that. But it's only for that. If I'm not going to watch stuff on my phone. If I'm watching stuff on the PC, I have the ad blockers going, and it's not an issue. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. And not having ads is that's the only big reason I want it at all. Really, it's not like there are a ton of other features it has that are worthwhile to me. Like sometimes it'll save your spot in a video, and when you go to a different device, it'll be like, "Hey, do you want to keep watching this one in particular?" So I could figure that out. Like that's not super helpful to me. And when you also consider that, if I'm remembering correctly, they just jacked up the price of YouTube Premium as well. Like the price just went up again. So we just have to deal with that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's on the fence. Criterion Channel has to be on the fence for now. It's just if it's collecting dust, it's incredibly hard to justify. How do you stick with that? How do you say yes, it's worth paying 12 or 14 bucks a month, which I think is around the neighborhood where it's priced, if you're just not on it? If you're using it a couple times a month, it's really not worth it. So very much on the fence. The reason I put Netflix in nah right now, I think, is just that I do like a lot of stuff on Netflix. There is plenty of good stuff on Netflix and original shows on Netflix that I like, but they're not the kind of thing that I'm rewatching all the time. So for example, BoJack Horseman, great show, pivotal show for adult animation. It's very important. It's very good. It's fun to watch. It's also very much not fun to watch. It's not something that you can just casually throw on in the background and have a great time. It's very serious, increasingly serious as the seasons go on. Or like Neon Genesis Evangelion, like obviously great. I really like the Netflix redub for that show as well. But there are other ways of watching that show, and it's not a problem. It's not a big issue or a hassle to do that. So yeah, I think it just comes down to convenience, how often I would be using it, and whether or not I'm interested in the new stuff. And yeah, I mean, there's some, like obviously the Scott Pilgrim. I want to watch that, but I can probably find another way to watch it when it comes out, to be honest. One Piece live action. So who knows? Maybe Netflix is something like, 1 or 2 more months, and then we cut it off, like after we get kicked off of these other accounts, then we just say goodbye. We could do something like that. But yeah, in general, in terms of like the super long term, I just don't think that Netflix sticks around. Yeah. Christian says the real old Ultraman was just a man on a model set with no green screen. How they made it, not the story. I understand. Yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting if that was the whole story, is that he's on a model set and he just has to cope with that reality. That would be great. But yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, I am gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this Scott Pilgrim trailer here without audio. just so I can get a sense for it. Okay. The characters definitely seem taller than they are in the graphic novels, right? That's one thing. I feel like the proportions have been changed slightly. I mean, in general, the little bits of action look pretty great. It's not. It's definitely not Trigger. You know, it's not like the most insane. Oh, really? Michael Cera's. Oh yeah, I think we talked about those. The original cast of the movie. They just got back. Yeah, weird that Michael Cera is still working. I mean, no, no disrespect, but yeah, let me look again. Yeah, so it's the same cast. Yeah, Jason Schwartz and Aubrey Plaza. Wow, Aubrey Plaza. She's in a different place, huh? As is Anna Kendrick. Just about everybody, all of the big names in the movie are in a vastly different position now than they were when that movie came out. Wow. Yeah, Allison Pill too. She was doing Star Trek stuff. Brie Larson, obviously. They must have slapped some money on the table, right? They must have put plenty of money on the table and just hey, everybody, yeah, we're good. Whatever you want, yeah, we'll match that. You won't have to be in the studio too long. You can just move on. Cool. All right. Yeah, very impressive, and also probably interesting for the sort of lesser known names among the cast to get called back in for this kind of project. Why not? Bring everybody back. But yeah, very cool. I'm very much looking forward to it. Did we get a release date for that one, nerd? Do you know? Did we already have a release date for that? Yeah, I would like to check on that a little bit. Anyway, very cool. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll be watching that. I will be watching the One Piece live action as well. Those are two of the only upcoming releases I'm aware of that I'm actually excited about right now. I definitely want to check those out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, does this anime adaptation have to do something substantially different from the movie or from the original works? You know what I mean? I guess the major thing it could do differently from the movies that everybody would be fine with is just if it included more. Like the movie was a slightly cut down version, of course. So if the anime fleshed things out and they just included more of the original content from the books, I think everybody would be a-okay with that, and it would be a way to distinguish it from the movie. So there you go. But usually with adaptations, we talk about what's different. Like, how are you going to change it to fit? And I don't know that the audience for this would really want them to change anything. I feel like if anything, they just really, really want adherence. They want loyalty to the source material, and that's about it. I don't know. That's just my impression. That's not necessarily how I feel about it. But yeah, very interested to see where that one goes. And probably binge it. I assume they're going to release all episodes at the same time, so should be easy enough to binge the thing and move on, I guess. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, I mean, we're kind of winding down, I guess. I need to make dinner and things like that. But if anybody, as always, if anybody has more recommendations of things for me to check out, go for it. Just list them off, and I'll try to record them somewhere. And as for our streaming service breakdown here, I think it worked out relatively okay. In general, the idea of having roughly 4 media related not just streaming services but like subscriptions, I think that's kind of okay. I mean, just financially too, like that's not a huge footprint in terms of the monthly budget. That's not crazy. 7 or 8 is probably crazy, at least for me in my situation. That's just not going to work. That's just too much. But yeah, not too bad. I'm automatically like I'm immediately tempted to say yes to Max. If they put Summer Camp Island back on there, that would be such a feather in its cap, and that would do so much to convince me to return. But for the time being, not so much. And then yeah, YouTube is just such a tricky. It's just based on my situation right now. It's kind of tricky. I like things about it, but only some things about it. It's not a necessity for me. So yeah, that will probably remain on the fence for a while. For a while into the near future here. But yeah, always interesting to get a better sense of what you're actually paying for every month and how much you're using the things that you're paying for. I think that's really important. And it's not something that I do very often at all. So, there you go. Cool. All right. Well, let's see. Hang out for a little bit longer. Anybody else have anything else they want to bring up? Any hot topics we need to dig into here? Any video things you're just desperate to see? Any of that kind of stuff? If not, then I will slowly fade away. I wish I could do like a fade to black on the stream. As if right now I don't know how to do that at all. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Sky Pilgrim, One Piece. What else is coming out soon that I care about? Nothing comes to mind. Season 2 of Spy Family, but I think we have a while before that releases. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll keep an eye out. Maybe we can catch up on the animation news next week, and they'll have good lists of upcoming releases and that sort of thing. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's about it for today. We're good. Yet another completed stream. As always, thank you to everybody coming out to the stream live, especially all the folks here in the chat. Thank you guys so much for keeping this active and keeping me engaged here, giving us things to talk about. Very much appreciated. I wouldn't be doing that without you. Streams just wouldn't be happening. But yeah, I think that brings us to a close. And then, of course, thank you to everybody watching the archive version of the stream later on. And yeah, I promise I will have a video soon enough. But yeah, for the time being, thanks for stopping by.